I didn't realise this music would be quite as mournful as it is. Hello, everybody. It's very pleasant. Oh. We are live. Hope it's all going well for you guys out there. We are back. It is another week. It is another Monday. Another Militarum Monday, no less. Yeah. How's about them Eldar videos, eh? You guys asked me if I was going to do them, and as per usual, I couldn't tell you, but there you go. You've got at least 3 more Phoenix Lords left to come, and 4 more Eldar Craft Worlds left to come as well. And I don't know how I'm going to release all of it, because... well, I mean, next week's pretty busy. This week's pretty busy. So we'll have to see what happens on Saturday. Knowing look to camera. Anyway. Hope you're all doing well. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the tattooed zoologist, Madison Schlief, Colonel of the 149th Death Corps of Krieg, Lone Monkey Productions, Stu G, Keith Story, Pridders, Yamail Angmar, Thomas, Fake Street Spirit, Jason Patworth, Kataro, Travis Woodside, Philip G, Jacob, Mark. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to another Militarum Monday. Today we are going to be painting some Death Corps of Krieg. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. There is a chance that we could end up painting 100 models in January. Which I know is insane. And I kind of want to shoot for it, but I'm also not too stressed about it if we do. The Eldar was such a big surprise. I know, Thomas. Right? I know. So yeah, today we're going to be working on a couple of little Kriegsmen. I've got 3 here that just need their silver doing. And there's 2 more that need black, green, and silver doing to them, which maybe we'll get to, but I doubt we will. I don't think we'll have the time. 1,200 models for the year. No, it's not going to happen, because I know that at some point Emperor's Children is going to happen, and those models are not going to be quick. There's going to be all that trim to do, because it's Chaos Space Marines. So I would assume that will be one of those weeks where it just goes horribly wrong in terms of the productivity. I follow you from Italy. Thank you very much. Can I just start things off by saying how good your Krieg overcoat recipe is? I totally stole it from my Warhulk Ogre, and it looks just swell. Well, you can start things off by saying that, and I saw it on Instagram. It looks great. It looks amazing. We paint them pink or something more purplish? Well, that is a question for the Codex. I need to see what's in the Codex. There might be some different schemes in there that we might do. I might try and prepare you guys as best as I possibly can for Emperor's Children. Because honestly, it won't matter, really, with Emperor's Children. You can paint them all different colours. That would make sense. You know? My wallet is ready for the Mad Gets Fury Road pre-order on Saturday. That's what I like to hear, Alex. Yes, Gitmob goes on pre-order on Saturday. Does that mean we will have some videos for it? Who knows? Slightly unrelated note. What I did yesterday is... because of the announcement that it was going on pre-order, I got excited. So do you know what I did? Is I went and I went and sort of just figured out how I would paint, for example, Snarlfang Riders. And I think they look pretty good. I don't know about you. You might think they look terrible, but I really like them. So we've done 2 of them. I've got 3 more of them to do, so maybe we'll do a video on those as well. So there you go. They look pretty good, don't they? I'm very pleased with those. So there you go. Lovely stuff. So I just need to finish those. I've tried to keep this very, very simple. And it is pretty simple. It looks complicated, but it's not. It all starts the same way, and then you change it with a couple of shades here and there, and then there's a same dry brush across the thing. But there's only 4 highlights to do on these. It's a bit of squig orange for the red, a bit of ironbreaker for the silver, a little bit of dawnstone for some of the black on them, and then obviously something like Skarsnik green for the skin. But yeah, we worked on that over yesterday because I was very excited for the Git mob. But today we're working on these 3 lovely gentlemen is what we will be doing. Did you dry brush? Certainly did. Dry brushed it with Karak stone. Lovely dry brush. So there you go. There you go. Is your green your usual green skin recipe? It looks a bit punchier. It is currently Gut Ripper Flesh followed by Bale-Tan Green. So yes. It hasn't been highlighted. And I kind of might not do some highlights on it because it looks nice without the highlights. I don't know. What do you guys think? When should you dry brush? See, when it comes to doing things like Snarlfangs, you want to get the dry. You only want to do the dry brush once you've got all the colours on that are going to be that highlighted with that colour. So I always kind of think pre-metallics and pre-heraldry. So in their case, they've got black leather, so that's fine. We can highlight that with Karak stone, and it looks great. And all the fur is Karak stone as well. So once I've done all the fur and the body and the claws, then put the black on, then give it the dry brush of Karak stone, and then it's ready to go. Wanted to pop in and say how much I appreciate your videos. Your work is amazing, and the tutorials are nice and easy to follow. Thank you. Very kind of you, Xenowolf. I appreciate that. Currently following along to your Infernal Master tutorial, but my Krieg box just arrived, so there'll be building to be done. We could do with more Thousand Suns. Well, I agree with you, Ventura Chris. As and when there are new Thousand Suns, we shall be right there with it. We'll have to see. Today I'm wet blending Sanguinary Guard tabards. Also moved over to 2 thin coats. No problem so far. Oh, excellent. Yeah. I want to try the 2 thin coats video paints properly. I've got some of their metallics, but I haven't got any of the other stuff. So yeah. And I will apologise in advance today, chat, because I'm full of a little bit of nervous energy that I'm still trying to shake off. Because I went to the dentist, and you know what that does to me. I don't like it. So I've been to the dentist today. I've been to the hygienist. It was awful. And now we're back. And it's all good. I got complimented. Said I'm doing very good. So I'm doing very well with my teeth. So there we go. It's all nice. Did Hera Bride of Death arrive? It did on Saturday. So we'll get that built eventually. I've got some other Forge World stuff I need to wash. So we'll do it all at the same time. I like to build it up. If you see what I mean. Right. So here we are. We are on Krieg Town. There they are. So we need to just pop these out of the way just for the moment. We can probably just zoom out a little bit just to make things a little bit more comfortable on me. And we need Iron Warriors. That's what we need. Currently painting the Norn Emissary following your tutorial. Excellent. I love to hear that. I really appreciate your videos, but I wonder if you will ever colour without using contrast. I don't see why I would. Well, that's not true. I've started to add a couple of things here and there where we're not using contrast. I'm never going to do a full mini without contrast paints because, well, to me that's just like, why would I make it? Why would I make painting harder and longer? Basically, is the reason why I don't do it. Jacob, when's your next game with Liam? I don't know. We have to ask Liam. Liam is the gatekeeper on that. To be clear, he's not gatekeeping, but he is the gatekeeper on the answer to that question. So, yeah, it's up to him, really. Though I do think that he's decided to give AOS a bit of a rest for a while, so that will rely on me wanting to play 40k, I guess. Which I'm not opposed to, but in order to do that, I need to finish an Imperial Guard army. So that I can play with an army that I like. Or at least an army that I'm excited to play with, you know. But thank you very much for the $2 there, Jacob. That's very kind of you. Our first super chat of the day. Legend. And if you would like to support the channel a little bit further, just like Jacob did, or indeed, as I spot out the corner of my eye, the Tattooed Zoologist has done with a gifted membership, you can do exactly like they've done. And if you don't, that's absolutely fine. But if you'd like to support the channel for free, please do leave a like on the stream. And if you're not already, hit that subscribe button. Because we are shooting for 100,000 subscribers this year. And we're making good headway already. It's only January. But we're making good headway. But there's still quite the mountain to climb. And we will only get there together. I should also say that I am currently painting Death Korps of Krieg, and these ones were sent to me early by Games Workshop. So a big thank you to them for that. And we are just blocking in the metallics stage. Of the Krieg. And then after this, we just have to do the Steel Legion Drab, the Nuln Oil, and then it's Karak Stone, Strachan Green, and Ironbreaker, and Black Legion, and Gorthor Brown. Keeping things nice and simple. Jack, thank you so much for the 10 gifted Warhipster memberships. Incredible. That is exceptionally generous of you. Thank you so much. I shall update the tracker in just a moment. think that is everything on this one. Looks to be the case. Yeah, there we go. One down. We're on 500 out of 500. There we go. Goal achieved. So I'm going to up us like that. Thank you so much, Jack. Thank you very much, Tattooed Zoologist, and thank you very much to Jacob as well. I'm excited to see your take on the Emperor's Children, especially like the marbly armor and the zebra stripes. Well, we'll have to see how complicated it gets. I might try and keep it a little bit more simple. Because, you know, I don't want you guys to approach those models with fear, if indeed you choose to use Warhipster as your painting service for tutorials on how to paint the Emperor's Children. But I'm sure we'll figure something out to make them look really, really effective. Like I said, I'm interested in what the Codex says about different color schemes. Because one would imagine that there will be pictures of other stuff. Again, there might not be. They might have just, you know, cheaped out on that part of the production. But so, for example, like with the Astra Militarum Codex, there's at least 4 pictures of at least one model that is in a different color to the, or in various different colors of the Death Corps of Krieg. So you have that kind of the traditional blue of like the box art, and then you have this version, which is the 310th, as the pictures tell me. And then you also have like, there's a lovely maroon one, and there's a slightly kind of more Arctic one as well. It's in the book, which is nice. It's nice to see. I'm fairly convinced that I'm going to paint, as and when it comes out, the command squad and the heavy weapons team in this scheme, and that will complete, if I just buy another set of engineers, that will complete my first Death Corps infantry section. So we might do another set in a different color scheme. And I was thinking about it earlier when I was in the dentist, because, you know, my brain went there. I wondered whether or not it would be fun, or indeed interesting, to basically colour swap the Krieg with the Cadians and see what that looked like. I don't know if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing. If we did a video that was like Cadian Krieg and Krieg Cadians. But it's certainly worth bearing in mind. I think it would keep the army looking really cool. But I don't know. I'm interested to get your thoughts. But of course, I've got another Cadian infantry section to do for my Harakoni Warhawks inspired scheme, which is the tan ones that I did, because I've got 10 guardsmen, and I've got all the bits to basically recreate exactly what we did in the last Cadian video. So I have a field ordnance battery and another heavy weapons squad, and indeed another set of infantry. Good evening, Flying Muttley. And good evening to you too, Molly. My Krieg turned up at the weekend. Can't wait to get started on them. We'll need to decide on a scheme, though. Have you got any ideas, Prudus? I was talking about making Astra Militarum spicy for the tabletop with Joe the other night, and we were in agreement that I think if you can get your hands on 20 Krieg infantry, a Krieg command squad, and a Primaris Psyker, you've got a really, really good little block of infantry. Back it up with a couple of engineers for that free grenade strat. And it should be pretty good. The only trouble is you might run into a lack of orders at times, I think. Like, it's the fact that command squads can only issue one order. To me, feels a bit limiting. It means you have to take multiple of them in order to put out multiple orders. Or you have to work someone like Ursula Creed in. Or Lord Solar Leontus, which isn't necessarily a bad thing to do. Lord Solar is great, but like... you also run into the slight thing of... I'm fairly convinced at this point that the Atalan Rough Riders datasheet is really, really, really very good. And better than the Death Corps of Krieg Death Riders. However, the Death Corps of Krieg Death Riders model kit is vastly superior to the Atalan Rough Riders one. So... it's a bit of a... buh. But I would guess with a bit of customization, you could just make the Death Corps of Krieg Death Riders kit look a bit more Atalan. Change their heads. Stuff like that. I'll be with you properly in just a minute, chat. I just need to finish applying Iron Warriors to this last guardsman. And then I'll be able to read what you're talking about. There we go. Right. What green would you use for the 158th Warhipster? 158th Death 4 of Krieg. Images. This is always going to be the problem where we don't have any actual pictures. Okay. Ah, there we go. That one looks okay. Honestly, I think I would probably move down either a mix of Militarum Green and Creed Camo, or Militarum Green or Creed Camo. I guess the choice is yours, really. You could do one to one. That would be nice. It's basically, the green of it is basically Death Guard armor, but without the Nazdrag yellow in it. So if you check out like my Typhus video, that's what I would do for the green. There was a question. Sorry if this was already suggested and I missed it, but would you be interested in doing a video like your Kroot one where you do like 5 to 10 different schemes for Krieg? It could be done. The problem is I'm really into Astra Militarum and I want to build a really cohesive army at the moment. So any Astra Militarum models I have in my possession, I'm trying to paint it up to a block standard for my army project that I have in mind. So it's the same thing for the Krieg, is I want to have this really cool block of models that I can play with as an army. Because if I do the multiple coloured thing, it doesn't work unless I do 5 units of 10, if you see what I mean. Hi Warhipster, quick question. I'm about to start painting my Breaking of the Fellowship set in your Contrast Plus style. How would you paint the Fellowship's Elven Cloak to get the grey/green effect? Fellowship of the Ring. Warhammer. Let's have a look. Classic Warhammer website there. Fellowship of the Ring. None of these are elven cloaks. I guess the 3 hunters is what I should look at for elven cloaks. Let's have a look. Yeah. I mean, the quickest way to do this is to do it like they've kind of done it on the for the grey version of it, is to do it like they've done it on the box art. Is basically to undercoat it, well, base coat it with Mechanicus standard grey, give it a shade of like Nuln Oil or a blue of some description like Drakenhof Nightshade, and then just layer it up through Dawnstone into Administratum Grey. That will absolutely be perfect. However, if you want something slightly different, I did do a video and I think it looks really nice, and it's probably what I would do for Elven Cloaks going forward. And I did a video on Aranath and Argadir. So if you want a slightly sort of bluish grey, if you check out this video here, I think it's Aranath. The one with the bow and the sword, basically. That would be a really nice elven cloak colour. The other alternative you have is that I did do... What's the Treebeard? I did Treebeard. I did Treebeard a long time ago. And that included the painting of Merry and Pippin. with their elven cloaks. So this video here might also help you. Is the Typhus vid the best recipe for Death Guard green still, you reckon? Going to be doing some Death Guard sometime as I expand out of demons. At the moment, yeah, I think it probably is. Like, as stuff that way I've painted Death Guard in the past. And it is probably how I would still stick to doing Death Guard, because it's really effective. And it looks great for the armor. There's other things I would change about it. Like, you know, things like Black Legion replaces any Basilicanum Grey and Black Templar type thing. You know. Rifle green and red. What layer colors, highlight colors would you use? Rifle green. Probably looking at this color, that when I look up rifle green, I would say Strachan green would make a nice highlight for rifle green. And then for red, I always go for Evil Sun, Scarlet, and Fire Dragon Bright. How's the Warlord Titan going? Poorly. But I have a date for which Peter is going to come and collect it to clean it all up for me. Because it fills me with, the building of it is just filling me with so much, like the building and prep work of it is filling me with so much anxiety and dread that I needed someone else to deal with that for me. So Peter's going to do it for me because he's a legend. He's going to come and get it. Hello, Captain Manrings. I'm very well. I hope you're doing well. Lurking. I like it. I want to paint the Yard Boys with the red armor from the Warhammer store. My thinking is Baal red with Blood Angels red as a shade and Fire Dragon as a highlight. What do you think? I think you are spot on there, Thomas. It's exactly what I would do. Exactly what I would do. Right, we need some Nuln oil. How do I paint the new Eldar models? Well, luckily there's 3 more videos yet for you to come out. Well, how to paint the new Eldar model, that video is yet to come out. The rest of them, there's a bunch of videos already on the channel that you can watch. Right, next up we're using some Nuln oil now to shade the green and the silver. We'll put it over the end of the gun as well. Because why not? Treat myself. I was no, I can't talk about it. I can't do it. Eldar models are a bit of a contentious subject. Let's just say I painted everything that sold out on day one. Which of the new Phoenix Lords is your favourite? Lycus, followed by Baharoth, followed by Fugan, followed by Jane Zar, followed by Morgan Ra, followed by the other one. I know his name, but... Oh yeah, Drazar, followed by followed by Assaman. Yep. You are spot on there, Cameron. What is your favourite 40k faction? Stormcaster? No. I'm feeling cheeky today. Blood Angels. Blood Angels are my favourite 40k faction. Followed closely by Astra Militarum. Followed by... probably Custodes after that. And then after Custodes it would be... maybe Tau. I do really like the Tau. I like their aesthetic. I like their vibe. Which persuasion of demon is your favorite? I think I have a joint top favorite in the form of Khorne and Slaanesh. And then I think Nurgle and Tzeentch kind of sit together for me at the same level. So it's kind of like if I had to give it joint first and joint second. But at the top of it all does sit Be'lakor. So kind of undivided demon, but that doesn't really count. Because there aren't enough undivided demons. You know, you have Furies and Raptorix. I don't think you can use the Raptorix in 40k. But you just have basically just Chaos Furies at that point. So, yeah. Be'lakor for me was such a stunning miniature. It's what inspired the whole Demons army in the first place. It's why I did so many Demons models. It's why I will continue to do Demons. The thing I'm just a little bit concerned about is that there will be no Codex Chaos Demons. And that we're just going to be locked into the mono gods. So you end up basically collecting Death Guard Emperor's Children, Thousand Sons, and World Eaters. And that would be a bit of a shame. But there we go. My top 3 fave 40k all Imperium. I knew there was a reason I liked you, just a Josh. I'm not ragging on Asserman, Colonel. The good news is, if he was your first Felix Lord in metal, the new one's exactly the same. It's just a bit taller. I didn't realise until those rumours started that having demons be their own faction was actually the popular take. I much prefer having the demons in the CSM faction personally. So here's my take on it. The demons being rolled into a book means they lose their identity as a way to play with just the demons. Because invariably what usually ends up happening is they just become these sort of summonable tools that don't have any power behind them. And realistically, what you'll end up seeing is, if they are just in the books, what you'll see is greater demons get bought quite a lot. So people can put a Keeper of Secrets, they can put a Bloodthirster, a Great Unclean One, a Lord of Change into their armies, and they won't need any of the rest of it. Because it will be like, well, why would I waste money? Why would I waste money and points on Demonettes when I can just have Noise Marines? Especially in... because demons... So demons don't have any shooting. They are always a full combat all of the time, right? In Khorne, that's fine. So you can put Bloodletters in. But are Bloodletters better than World Eaters? But they're better than Berserkers. And if the answer is no, you will not see Bloodletters on the table. But you will see Angron, Scarbrand, and a Bloodthirster. That's the problem I have with it. I want to get into Age of Sigmar and get the Grand Alliance of Death. Don't know why, but they're just so fascinating. I agree with you there, Erlond. Grand Alliance Death is amazing. Especially Flesh Eater Courts. Love them. Josh, how would you paint Necron Flayed One skin? That is a great question, the Mini Creative. I don't know why you're asking me. You're a superior painter by far. But I shall look it up for you. Flayed... Necron Flayed Ones. Let's have a look. So what I would probably do is stick to really pale colours based on what I'm seeing in front of me. So I would stick to things like Carroburg Crimson, Reichland Flesh Shade, and possibly some Soulblight Grey here and there. And I would usually start by applying Soulblight Grey over the top of things to get it a greyish colour. And then add colour here and there, like the bruising, by using a combination thereof of Carroburg Crimson, Reichland Flesh Shade, and you might even get away with a bit of Berserker Bloodshade here and there. Just using the shade paints to make it subtle. Because it's old skin, right? That you're wanting to apply. And then you can finish it off by stippling in just a little bit of blood for the Blood God. Is probably what I would do in order to do it. Before I started the Infernal Master yesterday, I had Be'lakor on the table, but bottled it. He remains grey. I'm thinking of painting him like Angron. Not a big fan of all that black, but can't decide. I'm sure you'll figure it out eventually. You'll do good. I think it's what you value more out of gameplay versus visual army cohesiveness, because the whole demon soup always looked a bit daft to me. Well, so this is the thing, right? Is I have enough in boxes to do all Khorne, all Slaanesh, all Tzeentch. And when I say enough, I have 2,000 points worth of all of the above. So, and a little bit more on top for some of them. So, like for Khorne, I have about 2,500 points worth of stuff. And that's generally how I would play it. Generally, I would stick to that. It's only in 10th edition where... Well, I guess the 9th edition book did it as well, but the 9th edition book wasn't around long enough for it to really matter. It's only in those two books where soup has become the norm. Because the 8th edition codex for demons was amazing. Because if you had a detachment that was all dedicated to a single god, it got a benefit on top. It got an army rule, basically. So, for example, a detachment of nothing but Slaanesh, you had advance and charge. Which was lovely. Khorne, you got something else. +1 attack, +1 strength, I think it was. Can't remember exactly off the top of my head. But it was also back when you used to be able to have units of 30 demons rather than 10. So for all of us out there who didn't build 3 musicians, 3 champions, and 3 banners, thanks. You need to get a Coke Zero sponsorship. It's in every live stream. I know, Cameron. But they won't sponsor me. I'm not big enough. Only you can help me get there by subscribing. If I can get to like 1.5 million subscribers, maybe they'd consider it. But then I would be the biggest Warhammer content creator of all time, so that's unlikely to happen. Because I'm certainly not the best. Do you happen to do anything to your contrast paints in the pots? Asking because I painted my ICC with your formula, and my Pterodon turquoise was a lot thicker than yours out of the pot. ICC? What's that? The answer is no. I don't manipulate the contrast paints in the pot at all. The trick you're probably missing is that Inner Circle Companions. Right, yes, I understand. So what you might be doing there is applying too much at once. You might have essentially that's a brush control, paint control thing. It's flow there at that point. So to counteract that in the future, the easy way out is to take 4 brush loads of it, just 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then one brush load of Lamy and medium into it to help you smooth out that amount. But basically, the case is when you're getting your contrast paint on your brush, you don't want that to look like it's starting to drip. And the best advice I can give you is just pause before you start applying by like a second, 2 seconds. That's all it takes to see if it starts to blob up towards the end, and you'll notice it because your brush, for example, here will start to go like that. It'll start to form a drip. That's too much paint, and when you have too much paint, it all goes on the model. So that's where you get the darker patches. There we go. Right. The next job is Steel Legion Drab. And we're going to use this This spot's nearly empty, but I'm determined to use all of it. That's why I'm punching my leg with it. That wasn't a weird frustration. Right. And a bit of water. Maybe another brush load. Yeah, there we go. A bit more water. Perfection. Right. Chopped a brush. Right, here we go. So we're applying Steel Legion Drab now over the top of the greatcoat. Just avoiding any recesses. Like that. Go. Lovely. We accidentally got a little bit in this little hole here. There we go. Got it. Lovely stuff. Cracking. I love it so much. Christopher Brucker, thank you very much. for 5 gifted Warhipster memberships. That's very kind of you. Looking very nice, replacement Liam. Is that who I am now? I don't know if you follow her, but it turns out Nikki Sullivan goes to my same tattoo shop. Small world. Oh, that's awesome. I do follow Nikki. I think she's great. She's a fantastic artist. She's super productive as well. I thought about getting another tattoo the other day. I think I make a joke about it in an upcoming video. And I know what the answer will be. You know, like when you look on the back of what's it called? Age of Sigmar battle tomes. There's that picture of, there's a little logo of Gal Maraz with the twin-tailed comet. I was like, oh, that looks really cool. That would be a nice tattoo. Maybe I should get one. But much like the Tanith in my family, I am first and only. Which I don't know about you, chat, but this Astra Militarum kind of kick I'm on at the moment. If Games Workshop were to announce a new kill team, and it was Tanith, a Tanith kill team, I think that would be a license to print money, you know. I would be all over it. I would love a Tanith range. You know, we've got Gaunt and his ghosts. But I'm the same, I think, with about Allguard, you know. Like, if they were to actually finally redo Catachans as well, in the same kind of style and detail as we had with the Catachan Colonel miniature and Sergeant Ripper Jackson, I just think that would be a really popular release. As to whether or not it would be a release as popular as Krieg, and whether or not it's a priority, I don't think it is a priority, but I think it would go down really well. Especially the Tanith. If it was Valhallans. Yeah, I mean, the Valhallans, Vostroyan, I would be there for Vostroyan. Even, like, Armageddon Steel Legion. What I would like, though, is if they were to, let's say, do a Steel Legion range, I would like them to make a new transport for the Steel Legion that isn't the Chimera, but that we can retire the Chimera. Because the Chimera is quite sad and old now. And I don't really like the Taurox that much. Mostly because the Taurox Prime can only be used by Militarum Tempestus. And the Taurox itself is pretty lame. And the reason I don't like it is because it's just a bit too small, and it's a bit unbelievable that 12 models can fit in it. Do you see what I mean? It's just a little too small for my liking. But I would like a new Astra Militarum dedicated transport that lets you take units of 20. That isn't, you know, a Stormlord. Which is why it's a bit of a shame that is it the Dracosan? That's the Solar Auxilia one, isn't it? The Dracosan Armoured Transport. Someone do correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. On that front. But it would be nice if we had access to that, you know? There we go. So what you're saying, and hear me out here, slightly bigger versions of existing guard vehicles. No! I missed a siege drill. Was going to buy 2 for my Death Guard before the Great Legends purge. The Aurochs. Is it the Aurochs? I even felt a bit bad typing that. You should. So Grey Seer is cold and Wraithbone is warm. What is White Scar, Chaos Black and Mechanica Standard Grey used for? White Scar is basically neutral between Grey Seer and Wraithbone, but what it is also brighter than both of them. So it's a neutral colour that sits in the middle, but it is brighter, so everything will appear brighter over White Scar. Mechanica Standard Grey is grey. It's cold. And Chaos Black is black. So it's cold. How many super heavies is too many when collecting guard? 3 of each? More than 3 of each. So, what's that? That would be 3 Bane Blades, 3 Doom Hammers, 3 Bane Swords, 3 Storm Lords. Hang on. I have the codex here rather than try and remember all the names because I can't. So the perfect amount of super heavies for Astra Militarum is you want to have at least 3 Bane Blades, 3 Bane Hammers, 3 Bane Swords, 3 Hell Hammers, 3 Storm Lords, 3 Storm Swords, 3 Doom Hammers, 3 Shadow Swords, and that's it. So that's what? 3, 6, 9... 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. There's 24 super heavies. But to be honest, you probably only need about 2. Maybe 3 at a push. And they should all be different. I have a Bane Blade. I want to do eventually a Shadow Sword and a Storm Lord as well. A Storm Lord might be fun to put into the Krieg section, and the Bane Blade sort of stay out of it. Do you think I'd be able to get away with a Malcador as proxy for a Rogel Dawn? Maybe. The only problem is I haven't seen what a Malcador looks like in comparison to a Rogel Dawn. It might be that the profile's all off. Those things like the Malcador are quite long. And the Rogel Dawn is wide. So it might be that the Rogel Dawn's wider than the Malcador is longer. And therefore that might not be the one. Right, Steel Legion Drab is done, so the next job is Karak Stone. It's Karak Stone, Vulcan Green, Gorthor Brown, Ironbreaker, and Black Legion for the eye lenses. Where are you, Black Legion? Ah, there you are. So there's 5 things. Oh no. We've got less than an hour to do it. Maybe we'll get it done. Let's see. Let's have a go. I don't want to just ignore you, chat, though, for the next hour. That would be mean. And if you haven't already, chat, please do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. If you're new. If you're new round these parts. Forfeit into a 2k army, so that's the answer I'm going with. Yeah, I mean, 4 work. It's a tough proposition for anybody to have to deal with, let's say, even 3 Baneblades. The only slight downside to them is that they can't be ordered, which is a bit of a shame. Not even by Lord Solar Leontus himself, so it's a bit strange, but there we go. I really love Karak Stone. I don't know if I've ever explained that before. I don't know if it's ever come up. But I really, really love this paint. There we go. One down. Is there any reason you don't airbrush? I really like that you use the brushes only for your tutorials. Yeah, I mean, there's a multitude of reasons why I don't airbrush. The first one being that not everybody has one. In fact, the minority of people have one. And so I don't want anyone to ever open up a video of mine where they have to invest a bunch of money in a tool they might not like, basically. Because you might not get on with airbrushing, you might not like how it looks. The other side of it is I generally don't tend to really like how airbrushed finishes look. And I think that to be really good with an airbrush is a completely different skill, and it's one that I don't have. And I don't think making videos from a point of knowledge that I don't have is a good idea. I'd rather not pretend like I know what I'm doing when it comes to something. But yeah, it's mostly that conceivably, aside from maybe a paint color or so, that you could watch one of my videos and you have a brush and you have paint, therefore you could follow it. And that comes from the frustration I had of when I made a return to the hobby after a little time out. I was interested in trying to paint some Ultramarines vehicles, things like dreadnoughts and stuff, and I couldn't find a single video that didn't tell me to whack out the airbrush and buy paint from a brand I'd never heard of. And this is what I mean, is 5-6 years ago, I've heard of the brands now, but when someone says, I've bought this, how do I paint this? And you go, right, you need to get this thing and this thing and this thing before you can even get started. And to me, that's too much of a financial investment in something that is a bit of a risk, as it were, in terms of your enjoyment of the hobby. It might be that you try and use an airbrush and you don't like it. It might be that it's, you know, prohibitive in terms of skill. I think it's very aspirational, excellent airbrush work. And I feel like with airbrush stuff, you inevitably have to you inevitably will have to use a brush and some paint eventually. And because of that, if you don't learn how to do that bit, you'll just stick to airbrushing in base coats, and that'll be the end of it. And like my models are never going to be about that. Like a great example would be like if you were to look up like how to paint Eldar vehicles now, I suspect the majority of them will be like, we're going to get our airbrush out and we're going to use this primer from this company that you've never heard of, especially if you're a new person. I'm not saying like as a veteran that you don't know what things are, but like when my entire Warhammer career up to the age of 24, 25 was only ever in having knowledge of what Games Workshop makes. I've never heard of Army Painter or Vallejo or P3 or Monument or any of these places. I've never heard of any of them. So when you open a video and it goes, paint this Games Workshop model using this thing from somewhere that you don't know, this paint from somewhere that you don't know, where can I get it? I don't know. Can I get that? Can I get these Vallejo paints from Games Workshop? No. You have to order them from this website and then they'll turn up and you've never used them before. How do you deal with lack of motivation to paint? Well, in the rare occasion that happens, Matt, because I'm in a I'm in the position of I have to paint because this is my job. And if I don't paint and I don't make my videos, I don't earn my £40 a day that I earn in ad revenue by putting the videos out. So therefore I can't pay my bills. However, when I'm lacking inspiration to paint something, or I'm just struggling with wanting to get up and go, sometimes the best thing to do is to just not force it and to just do something else. And I find that, like, quite often the lack of motivation comes from a lack of inspiration. And what you should do is just do things to make yourself feel inspired, and that might be that you watch something cool, listen to something cool, read something cool. You know, it might be that's what it takes to get your creative juices flowing. It might be that you just need to step away for a bit, tidy it away. I find that, like, reducing what you can visually see is a way of helping your brain, like, kind of deal with what you've got. So, like, I would never recommend, like, if you build, let's say you get something like that new Emperor's Children army set, and you're really excited to paint it, and you build it all, and then you have it all on your desk in front of you, and there's something like 20, 30 plus models in that box. A lot of unbuilt, well, unprimed, unpainted miniatures in front of you can start to feel like a load. It can start to feel like it's a never-ending mountain. I would always recommend, if you're feeling like it's too much and you can't face it, just tidy all of the ones away and just leave 5 out. 5 maximum. And you'd be surprised at what that... It might not happen immediately, but you'd be surprised at how that makes it feel way more manageable. And then once you finish them, leave the finished ones out. Because if you can see the ones you've finished, and let's say you've got a box of 10 Space Marines to do, if you can see the 5 that you've finished, you know what the other 5 are going to look like. So that can help spur you on to get the next 5 done. But there are degrees of, like, you shouldn't ever force it because it's meant to be fun. And sometimes you're wanting to paint because you've done something else that's fun and you want to emulate that, right? Finding inspirational factors rather than motivational factors is what will help you. So, like, you can, for example, like, I watched the secret level video that was on Amazon Prime, and I was this close to buying a box of Stone Guard veterans and painting them as Ultramarines. Airbrushing also kind of takes away from the Contrast Plus method, other than maybe a Zenithal highlight, but I don't think it's needed. You have a style people like. I'm with you there. Seeing you paint a Warlord with only a brush will be quite the feat. It's gonna happen. I hope that helps, Matt. How are Tales submissions going? I try not to look throughout the month because I don't want to spoil the surprise for me. I have to edit it anyway, so that's when I get to look at all of it at once. But I get, like, I basically get a pre-Tales party. I get a pre-drink. I get my pre-drink on by getting to see what you've all done as I'm putting the thing together. But I try not to look now because I don't want to spoil it. Because when I'm in work mode as well, trying to put the pack together, it's easier to be, like, focused. So I get to look at it all and go, oh wow, that's cool. But I don't spend too much time on it. So that I can spend the appropriate level time when we're actually doing Tales. Right, what's next? It's Gorthor Brown, technically. Usually. That's what we'll do. It is really helpful to have some finished models in front of you. I can't paint more than 5, or I get burnt out. Yeah, yeah. Having at least one nearby that you can see, is just a great way to feel that sort of sense of achievement. You know, I paint every day with a warhound sat there that I painted with a brush. So if ever I feel like I can't do something, I look at that and go, "You can do this." This is nothing compared to that. Well done. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do that for the Warlord, because I have no idea where that's gonna go. But there we go. Right. Next one. Let's go on you, shall we? So our next colour is to take some thinned down Gorthor Brown. We're going to use this to highlight the brown. I think the other thing I would say around the motivational aspects of Warhammer is that it is okay to not want to paint. You don't have to do it every day. Like, you guys are not... There is no obligation at all to have to do it. And you shouldn't ever feel like you are obliged and that you're failing by not doing it. That is the problem I think social media can give us, is that especially if a lot of your friends are Warhammer folks, a lot of people that you know are doing Warhammer. Let's just move that so you can hear me a little bit better. If they're painting all the time and you're seeing their results all the time and you're looking on Instagram and you're seeing what everybody else is doing and it feels like somebody is doing a lot of work all the time, it can be really disheartening, because it'd be like, well, I'm not doing that and I don't feel like doing that, so is there something wrong with me? And that's not the case at all. It's that person's choice to work as hard as they do on painting, but you are under no obligation to do the same thing whatsoever. So whilst I might be sat here this time in December on something like 500-600 models painted, that doesn't in any way, shape or form mean that you failed by doing 10. It just means that I had a lot of work to do and a lot of videos to make. And that's my choice as a content creator. But that's the thing to remember, is this is my job. It's what I do. It's what I do for a living, so I have to do it. And like I said, if I don't do it, I can't pay the bills. Because the other option is that I make videos about how, you know, terrible everything is, in order to clickbait a bunch of people into joining a community that is, well, into joining this community. But that, you know, that takes nothing. But I choose not to do that because I don't believe it. And also there's already enough people doing that. I struggled to motivate to paint for 6 months back at the end of last year, then listened to Infinite and the Divine again, started some Lich Guard and arranged a game for mid-Jan. Oh, that's a great way of doing it. Hey, Chris. I've got a week off after having all my wisdom teeth out. So once these painkillers kick in, I'll start on my rattlings. Chief, I'm so sorry. I went to the dentist today for my any channels that posted clickbait stuff on the Eldar leaks, I just hit the unsub button. Yeah, that's the right thing to do there, Demogorgon. I've never understood the leaks thing. I don't know why you would want to do it. Like, if you leak something, right? I can't, what is the motivation for doing that? Like, yeah, I mean, you can talk about the thing by leaking it, so maybe you're just excited in that regard. But I swear with the Games Workshop thing, someone somewhere gets a huge amount of satisfaction out of being an anonymous leaker, and they think that somehow that makes them this like super famous and popular content creator, and it's like, no, that's not what it does at all. What it does is it just ruins it for everyone else. Especially like the person who keeps saying, oh, I ordered this thing and Games Workshop accidentally sent me this instead. And it's like, okay. And I feel like that was believable when it's a model that exists before that's getting a redo, right? So if someone was like, I ordered Assaman and Games Workshop accidentally sent me Assaman. This is what it looks like. Okay, that is almost believable that there's been some sort of program error that's happened and it's accidentally sent the wrong miniature. Fine, whatever. I'll be skeptical, but at least it's believable. But when I see someone say, oh, Games Workshop sent me this by accident, and it's a model that's never been heard of before, it's like, no, they didn't. You've stolen that, and you've leaked it. That's what happens. Just like Dante. Yeah, exactly. I will say, like, oh yeah, look, okay, fine. Yeah, that can happen. But like there, as Colonel says, as Captain says, too many ranks in the chat. As Captain says, a SKU can get mixed up. Yeah, it can. It absolutely can. You know, and the distribution system can screw up in that sense. But presumably when a new model comes out that no one's ever heard of. So, for example, if Lycus has been leaked in that way, that's a brand new SKU. That doesn't happen. That's very, very rare that could happen. So I always think that. And it's the same thing like, you know, people said that the you know, that Death Guard thing that came out that they've previewed, it's a brand new miniature. It's new for the Death Guard. It's not a redo. It's not another Lord of Contagion or anything. So I'm 99% certain that that's been nicked from a distribution center. And they're pretending... Because I find more often than not when someone says, oh, Games Workshop sent me this by accident, it's an anonymous account. Or it's a brand new account that's never posted before. It's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, so... This happened, so your instinct was to make a Reddit account and then go and talk about it. Give over. Maybe it's just who I am, but I have had an instance in the past where I've been sent the wrong thing by accident. And I've always got in touch. Because for me, it's a risk, right? That the company figures out what they've done and then you're in trouble. You see what I mean? So, like, if you, let's say, and it's happened to me with Amazon before, right? Where I ordered a game. I think it was Final Fantasy VII. The remaster. I ordered it from them, and they sent me 2. And I was like, oops, okay. So I messaged them and said, by the way, did you know that you sent me 2? And they said, oh no. And I was like, okay, what do you want me to do about it? Can I send it back or something? Because what I don't want is for them to realise later on that they sent me 2, and then I have to pay 40 quid for an extra copy. That's my worry. And that would be the same thing, like, if I ordered something from Games Workshop. Let's say I ordered a box of Riders of Rohan, and then they accidentally sent me a set of new plastic Riders of Rohan. I wouldn't want to order that and be like, oh, hey, quick, I'm going to quickly run to the internet and tell everyone about that. I would be like, hi, this happened by accident. No, Alfarius, unacceptable. Yeah, I've been checking. I've been looking for you, Batman. But he's still out of stock. I've checked it every day. What colour will you use for the orange armour parts of the Ard Boys with red armour? Are there orange parts? Oh yeah, so there are. That would be a Griffhound orange job, I think. Or it's yellow. I can't tell. No, it's orange. Yeah, I would probably use Griffhound orange for that. You as a previewer would also then be blamed if New Plastic Riders was leaked, so you being in your position double checking would make a lot of sense. And that's exactly right, Britters. And this is my thing, right, is you gain nothing by leaking. Because you don't want... So if you work at Games Workshop and you leak a codex, right, you gain nothing by having your name attached to that. All you get is sacked. Possible legal consequences, who knows? So they have to do it anonymously. So that's the thing, is if somebody leaks something, or somebody leaks something to a creator who then leaks it out wider, you're not getting that recognition. They are. The only reputation you have is the person who handed it to them. That's the thing. What colour would you use to highlight Krieg khaki? I am not changing my Krieg's colour scheme, but I am using it for a different army. It's a good question. Krieg khaki. I would use Deepkin flesh to highlight Krieg, as in the colour Krieg khaki, or khaki that Krieg are wearing, as in this colour. You don't think the creator might pay for the leak? Maybe. But is that worth it? Depends how much they're paying. I don't think you could pay me any money to leak something. So that's Krieg khaki. That's Deepkin flesh. So what got leaked? I believe somebody leaked all of the data cards for the all of the data cards from Codex Eldar. What if I don't have Deepkin flesh? What other colour would come close? To Deepkin flesh, you could maybe try Pallid Witch flesh. It's quite bright though. Screaming Skull would also work, weirdly. Because Screaming Skull is a nice neutral highlight for every colour. Iron Rack. Iron Rack could also work. I'm not a legal mind, but I suspect if you leak something, if you were to leak something from a company that you worked for, you're less likely to receive strict legal ramifications and probably just termination or a disciplinary, right? If you were to just leak something from a company that you worked for. If someone paid you for a leak, I suspect that probably becomes a crime like corporate espionage, at which point you could then be criminally prosecuted, I would guess. So if you were to leak something, or if someone were to pay you to leak something, that carries even greater risk should you be found out. I would guess. So actually, it's not worth it at all. Like, but I don't know for sure. Also, Warhipster, as for the Space Marine on the base of Alpharis, you're going to paint it Heresy Space Wolves like on their site. I feel like Imperial Fist would be too bright and take away from Alfie. I could possibly do it as a Space Wolf. Is that what they've done on the website? I generally just follow what they do on the website, is usually my thing. Right, our next colour. We're making pretty good headway, but I don't think we are going to finish these three tonight on stream. Our next colour is Strachan Green. We're using this to highlight all the green. Like that. Dark Space Wolves. Yeah, there you go. I'll probably do it as they do it on the site. Sometimes I will make a change if I don't understand why it is done that certain way. Like, it's like, why have you used that loyalist? They never engaged in any meaningful battles. So, like, you can put Night Lords on the base of the Lion because he spent a long time fighting the Night Lords. But, like, on Mortarian's base, it's probably wise to put, like, White Scars, right? Because they had a great rivalry during the Heresy. After all. I think the other thing I really dislike about people who leak codexes is it just means that the whole thing becomes framed around whether or not they're competitive. And there's only really, like, the people who really care about it are the competitive people, and then they just make a bunch of videos about how this thing's broken, this thing's not broken. And what I think is interesting is why there isn't a crackdown on people who are in the partner program talking about the leaks. Because an NDA basically states you can talk about anything as long as about any information that is publicly out there. So if you guys say if I can talk about Codex Eldari now because the NDA, the disclosure on that is over, has been and gone because the stuff has been announced, right? So a bunch of people have already made their videos about it. But if someone was to leak the Emperor's Children Codex, let's say, and they did it like tomorrow, no one knows anything about it yet, so it's not public. Games Workshop haven't mentioned a single rule about it, so, you know, that's the thing. You know, you can talk about anything that's already publicly known, but something that's been leaked is not publicly known knowledge. That's stolen information. So to talk about a leak in detail, like, you can talk about that a leak has happened, but to talk about the information that's in the leak, Games Workshop hasn't made that public, so I just feel like you shouldn't do it. You know? Favorite Horus Heresy books, Warhipster? Give me your top 5. Can we include the Orig Tridge as one? Horus Rising, etc. Because I feel like they basically are one book that's been divided into 3. I don't want them to take up 5. Okay, so the Orig Tridge is one of my choices. Then Flight of the Eisenstein, because I think it's great. It's a really, really fun book. So that would be the second one. This is not in any particular order, but No Fear is excellent. and Fear to Tread is great. And then it's kind of a difficult one in that there's loads of really good ones and loads of really meh ones. Because like Master of Mankind would belong in the top 5, as would Unremembered Empire. That's an excellent one. I think The Buried Dagger was great. Like really good. The Garrow short stories. Anything Garrow, basically. Whenever he turns up, it's always a good time out. But, yeah. The one on Molech. What's that called? That's really good. Vengeful Spirit? Is that what it's called? I also really liked Wolfsbane. The ending annoyed me slightly. And that Lehman Russ has him. He's like, he'll have learned his lesson from that. I'm off now. How did Betrayer hurt you? Which one's Betrayer? It's wild the new Eldar Combat Patrol comes with the first plastic Aspect Warriors from 1998 and the newest Aspect Warriors in 2025. It's pretty crazy, right? Angron and Lorgar go after Nuceria. Oh, it's that one. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. First Heretic, though, is better. First Heretic's great. Let me look at the list of Horus Heresy books. Horus Heresy books. In order. There used to be a Wikipedia article. Yeah, there it is. So, I'll go through them all and tell you which ones I liked. And I shan't comment on the ones I didn't. Horus Rising, False Gods, Galaxy in Flames, Flight of the Eisenstein. All great. I love Nemesis. I know not everybody does. First Heretic. 1,000 Suns and Prosper Burns are good as well. I love The Outcast Dead. And I really like Deliverance Lost as well. No Fear. Perfection in book form. Fear to Tread. Perfection in book form. Angel Exterminatus. Great book. Betrayer, as you're saying, it's good. It's just no First Heretic. Mark of Calth is okay, but it's a novella compilation. I don't really like those. Vulcan Lives I remember enjoying. The Unremembered Empire, great. Scars, can't believe I forgot about Scars. Excellent book. Vengeful Spirit, excellent book. Damnation of Pythos, one of the worst books ever written, ever committed to paper. Never read it. Ever. Deathfire's okay. War Without End's okay. Pharos is carried by Dantioch and Pollux. Because their relationship's wonderful. Path of Heaven, brilliant. Praetorian of Dawn was fun. Master of Mankind, excellent. Garrow, Weapon of Fate, already mentioned it. Excellent book. Ruinstorm, Wolfsbane, and Slaves to Darkness are an excellent set of books, and The Buried Dagger is great. And of the Siege of Terror books, the ones I liked were Lost and the Damned, Saturnine, Warhawk, Echoes of Eternity. The rest of them I had issues with. No Fear is so good. It is so good. I've read the first one of the Black Legion series, Batman. Oh no, we've only got 7 minutes left on stream. It's unlikely that we're going to finish it. So the only 2 things left to do on these 3 Kriegsmen are some Ironbreaker highlights and the Black Legion eye lenses. But because of the amount of silver on them, it's just going to take longer than 7 minutes to do that. But we made really good headway on them. You can see how quick it is to do these. In between all the talking and the streaming and the being a YouTuber thing. No Fear is the best. Oh, it's such a good book. It is such a good book, No Fear. Yeah. I would even go as far as to say that No Fear and Fear to Tread, probably Master of Mankind, and Warhawk and maybe Buried Dagger. That would be the 5 that would make it into my top 10 Black Library books of all time. But there's obviously space that's reserved within that for Plague Garden, which is undoubtedly the best book ever written by Games Workshop. I just adore Plague Garden as a book. It's so good. Yeah. And I as much as I mock it, I really did enjoy the first Eisenhorn book. I really did. I mock it a lot because every engagement in that book starts with Eisenhorn diving out of the way of a hail of gunfire as bullets riddle his coat. And it's like, how do you have any of your coat left by the end of that? Have you read the Gaunt's Ghost series? I've read the... Basically, it's not the first one, but it is canonically the first one, because it's a set of short stories. And I know I need to do the next one, because that's what the actual first one, which is really good. Everyone tells me that this one's really good. I need to read that one, because that was really... It's excellent. The other one, I was like, you can tell this was amongst the first few books that were ever written in Black Library. Best Primarch books: Alfarius, Kurz, Perturabo, and Angron. Perturabo one is really good. I enjoyed the Gilliman one, and I haven't read any of the others. The Fulgrim Heresy book was quite a tonal shift compared to the original trilogy. Yeah. The Fulgrim book is an interesting one because it's like they just went, do whatever you want. And I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the Horus Heresy books, in that the best ones are the ones that, funnily enough, move the story forward. What irritated me about the Horus Heresy is it feels listless for a long time. Like, it doesn't have a rudder. It's just moving in circles endlessly. And every book, for about 30 books, has at least 2 to 3 chapters that go back to Istvan. So you're constantly reading about Istvan from somebody else's perspective, and you already know what happened. Nothing's different, and it's just like, yep, okay, yep, you all died, yep, cool. Or, you guys didn't die, did all the murdering. Yep, cool, yep. Get on with it. And it's... When it's just doing that over and over again, every book that I read in the Horus Heresy, as soon as there's an Istvan chapter, if it opens at Istvan as well, it was just like, oh, for God's sake. Why are we back here again? This is already very well established. It's just like, it's basically like the recap at the beginning of a series. But these days, when you binge watch a series, the app should be smart enough to know that you watched the previous episode yesterday. You don't need the recap. Isn't that just all of 40k until, like, Gilliman came back, though? Just Circle of Law with no progression at all. That is exactly what 40k's lore is still like. Gilliman came back. Cadia was destroyed. Baletown was fractured. And now they're just sort of spinning in place. Giving us given us the up-to-date battle sector that you play your match play games of 40k in, is Pariah Nexus, which was at the end of 9th edition. We've actually gone back. We've actually gone back in time to another place. Because it's not new that they're covering there. It's actually covering the thing that they were supposed to cover before, but they didn't do a very good job in Psychic Awakening of it. Opinions on Fulgrim's pulled back skin with the symbol of Slaanesh. Love it. That Fulgrim model's very pretty. It's gross in all the right ways. What I want to see with the Fulgrim model is I want to see it in my hand so I can check that the angles are better. Because I think top down, in like the preview pictures, there's a couple of different ones, right? So there's one where, like, if I demonstrate on this model for here, right, they're showing like Fulgrim like this, right? So that's where it makes him look a bit silly. But there's a couple of promo pictures they've taken where they're showing him at that angle. And that's where he looks proper scary and cool. And that's what I want to see. I want to see the model in my hands and see that. Tyranids was such a big threat that they've not done anything in months, and even in Space Marine 2 they just stopped being an enemy after halfway. Well, exactly. There wasn't a progression of Leviathan. They went, let's go back to Pariah Nexus. There's some unfinished business there. Except it was finished at the end of the bloody Pariah book. The Silent King has built a big gun that will kill everything. We must stop him. Have we stopped him? Yes. That was the conclusion of Pariah Nexus. It's done. It's over. I hope they start moving the narrative soon forward. I think with all Primarchs returning, Abaddon is kind of a non-scary villain. Yeah, pretty much. What can 40k do to progress? So the simplest thing with 40k, threaten somewhere that someone cares about. Fall of Cadia was huge. Fall of Cadia was a big old deal. It was a big deal because that was the battle line, right? Cadia was the one that kept the Eye of Terror in check, and it was where they defended against Abaddon's 13 Black Crusades, right? Cadia was a linchpin of the entire universe, and without it, Cicatrix Maledictum happens, right? Whereas what they do now is they invent a new system and then destroy it, and no one cares. Think to Vigilus. Vigilus is a great example. Here's Cadia version 2. It's the only planet on the side of a stable warp corridor through the Cicatrix Maledictum. It's really important. Okay, what are we going to do there? Absolutely nothing. Calgar and Abaddon are going to have a fight, and neither of them are going to bite it. So what's the outcome? Deadlock for the rest of time. So if you start picking up planets that people actually care about, if you set battles on these places and you set campaigns around them, it means something, and it might mean something going forward, like Armageddon. I was so surprised that when Angron came back, he was nowhere near Armageddon. Angron came back and beat up a system that we'd never heard about that's really important to the Imperium because it makes table legs. It's the only system that makes table legs, and they can't lose it. So Angron killed it. Now there's no table legs. Whatever will they do? Do you see what I mean? I remember the Fate of Konor global campaign. I was like, my Ultramar! I showed up in force for that. Well, exactly. And the results of that were then borne out in the narrative, in that Ajax is basically gone. And that was a garden world. It's not Macragge, but Ajax was pretty important to the 500 worlds. But that's it, is you can pick, like, Armageddon, or Medusa, or Baal. I mean, Baal was... Everyone will point to Devastation of Baal as being a great book. And it's like, yeah, because it's the Tyranids trying to eat the home planet of the Blood Angels. And they fail in that regard, because the Blood Angels all come together and are almost killed to a man. And then are rescued at the last by a returning Primarch. And the Cicatrix Maledictum happening, which cuts off the Tyranid Hive Fleet from the Hive Mind, which means they all go feral and it gives them a chance, right? It's a really cool story, but it has stakes. When it's based on somewhere you don't care about and have never heard of before, there's no stakes involved. What Primarch will come after Fulgrim? I would suspect it will be a Loyalist. And then it's... Your guess is as good as mine for a Chaos one. But I think you can pretty much guarantee that... I mean, well, look. The way to advance the story would be at that point for Abaddon to become a Demon Undivided. And he would then be the Demon Primarch of Chaos Undivided, but I don't know if they would do that. That would be the question mark that I would have on that. But that's it. I mean, you need to put stakes into the narrative. There has to be a reason to care. You can't, you know, TV shows are at their weakest when they invent a character to be killed. It's not shocking then. You don't care. So The Walking Dead is the example I'll always go back to, in that what they constantly did was they would introduce a character, and 3 episodes later that character would be dead, and you wouldn't care. But everybody really cared when they thought Glenn had been eaten by zombies. Right? You care about that because you're invested in that character. You have to do things to places that people are invested in. And you can have the Imperium win, and you can have the Imperium lose. And people will be mad that the Imperium win, but that's because they're strange. But like there can be victories and losses on both sides, and that's in theory what it should be. It shouldn't just be always. That was what 8th edition was supposed to be. 8th edition was supposed to be a change in 40k, and that there was supposed to be the introduction of hope to the setting, and people were mad about that. So like, no, it should be grimdark and depressing all the time. And it's like, no, there needs to be a counter to that, in the face of that, and that's what makes it more heroic, more noble. It's what you're after, you know. Good evening, ABB. When will the Emperor croak? Who knows? But picture this. Just before I go, I will be leaving in the next minute and a half. Picture this. The Emperor finally dies, but is reborn as was foretold. And so an era of great crusade starts once again under the Emperor's guidance. He's not the man he used to be, but he acts more like Sigmar in that he is a central power that is more like a conductor behind everything, except that he's conscious and he can do things now. He can interact. He's no longer tied to the Golden Throne of Terror. Right? Imagine that happens, okay? So now Imperium are technically on the front foot. They've decided they're going to go out into the stars once again and try and conquer. But in the face of that, it means that the bad guys, the Orcs, the Tyranids, the Eldari, the Tau, chaos, all of chaos involved, means they have to innovate. It means they have to come up with different solutions. It means they have to look to desperate allies. They have to find other denizens of the warp with which to counter this renewed Imperium, and in order to maintain the stalemate in the other direction. And that way, you get a bunch of new models for new factions, and factions that are already existing. That would be a lovely thing, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be beautiful? Imagine that, but for a moment. Necrons just look and go, we'll wait. Or do they go, oh, well, let's open up the other vaults of other things? Because we have to counter an even worse threat in the form of this thing that's basically a Catan. But it's a living, breathing, fully powered up Catan. And he can only be in one place at one time. This is my point. Anyway, we are going to run, guys, because it's 5 to 8 and I've gone over by 10 minutes. So, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. You guys are the best in the world, and I love you very, very, very much. I will be back tomorrow with a painting video. Quickly before I go, I want you all to just drop in the chat which one you want to see first. Lycus, Assaman, or Fugan Ra. No, just Fugan. Fugan. Those are the next 3 videos that are coming out. But what order are they going to be in? That's a video that's coming out tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, we will be back live. I don't know what I'll be doing. And then there'll be a painting video on Thursday, Friday, and then something else on Saturday that I can't tell you about. But we're basically on daily content at the moment. So don't worry. There's always something every day. I just can't tell you what all of it is. But I can always, I can tell you some of these bits and bobs. We've got some votes for Lycus and 1 vote for Fugan. Hello, James. I'm sorry I have to run. But there we go. Anyway, I will see you all very soon for some more content. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. And I will chat to you on Wednesday if I don't speak to you before then. Lots of love. Here is the hands of farewell. And I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Bye for now. Bye.